One of my favorite covers of all.
Welcome to the Summit Schmooze. Now let's welcome your host in his 21st year of the Presentation Summit. Put your hands in the air for the one and only Rick Altman.
Yes, I am that old, huh? Happy New Year, John, and to everybody. Thanks for helping us put this together, John. And I want to start by asking you to share your holiday experience. Because when you told me about that, that was the coolest thing. John came down from Seattle here in the San Francisco Bay, where his father hosted a huge banquet at one of the fanciest restaurants. John, take over as to what this occasion was that you were all marking.
All right, again, I'm John Chen. I'm your virtual MC for this program, and I'm excited I'm going to be back as your virtual MC for the Presentation Summit 21. Everyone, go to the chat and chat where you're from. Give me one of your things you did over the holidays. What we did over here is called Everybody's Birthday Dinner. So we all trek to San Francisco, and my dad likes to celebrate everybody's birthday all on one day at a beautiful dinner. And this dinner was at Quince. Quince in San Francisco is a 3 Michelin star restaurant, of which there are only 142 3 Michelin star restaurants in the world. So again, we all trekked to San Francisco, and it is amazing, glorious, and this is some of the highest elevated food. They also had won the first green Michelin star, which is for biodiversity and their eco-friendly practices. So that's everybody's birthday dinner here at Quince. Back to you, Rick.
All at once. That's amazing. Now, is this just a family tradition? Is this cultural? How long have you been doing it?
It's been going on for, now, I think 7 years. So now it's basically become a family tradition. It's not cultural, except for the Asian part. We just really like to eat a lot. So you can see some extraordinary photos and videos.
Yeah, I loved that story. That's fantastic. Okay, so our first order of business here is to elect a Speaker of the House for this Zoom. It should only take us about 7 or 8 tries, right? What do you think, John? Think we can? All right, maybe not. Maybe not.
There's not enough speakers in this house. You know that, right?
I could not resist. Maybe by the time this is over, they'll be at around 12 or 13. Our real first order of business is to send out a call for strength and healing to a beloved member of the Summit community, Cindy Tingley. She collapsed, suffered a seizure last week, landed herself in the Miami hospital. And while she's doing much better, she needs to hear from all of us. She made her debut at the conference recently, really. It was just in 2019, but she quickly won the hearts of all of us with her boundless enthusiasm, her zest for learning and for contributing. She absolutely devoured the community spirit of the conference, and she has been all in since then, joining the Presentation Guild and becoming recently elected to its presidency. So to call Cindy a presentation rock star is an understatement, and we all wish her a full and speedy recovery. If you would like to send along your own best wishes, you can do that through a digital get well card at this URL right here. John, perhaps you could put that URL into the chat as well.
Already there for you.
Thank you. She did just post on Facebook. So she's alert, she's up, she's around, but she still has some recovery to go through. And soon she'll be communicating with all of us, we hope. So from all of us to Cindy Tingley, our best. And again, best wishes for a full and speedy recovery. All right, so now the reason that you're all here, I've teased it long enough. I've been teasing it for several months, really. It was not exactly a linear path to today's announcement. and that path started back in the summertime when I was literally contemplating retirement. I did hint at this in one of my emails, my 5 reasons to attend the conference. Some of you might have seen it, most of you probably not. I didn't want to make a big deal about it. Any publicist would have surely fired me as a client for this, but there it was in 5-point type. that I was considering that maybe I'd be hanging it up after this one. In fact, I was actively making the conference available for sale. I had several suitors. I put together a nice little PDF digital brochure about acquiring the conference, and I actually had an offer on the table. So this was real. And several of the people here on this call know that. They were in discussion with me about it and everything. But it was really a very strange dilemma because, I didn't want to, I was agonizing over all of this. I wasn't sure if I was going to do it or not. I didn't want to pull a Tom Brady and announce to everybody I'm retiring. No, just kidding, I'm not. But if it really was going to be my last one, shouldn't I tell people that? And I didn't know. I was agonizing over all of this. I even put a clause in the contract last year that if I retire, you have to let me cancel and not charge me an arm and a leg. I feel like I needed at least one more. So at a minimum, we would have San Diego. That would be my Paris. What was that Humphrey Bogart line? We'll always have San Diego, And so I knew at least I was going to do that, even though I didn't know if I was going to go beyond that. And San Diego had some crazy good highlights. I want to share just a few of them with you. In no particular order, we had Nolan Hames's guide to virtual presenting that included tips for men using makeup. And that is him right there showing everybody how to do it, right in our ballrooms. Alex Hunolt, the crazy dude who scaled El Capitan without any safety ropes. They made a movie out of it, Free Solo. I've seen it 4 times. Well, I think we did better than getting him to speak. We got his mother to come speak. She also has climbed El Capitan, and she spilled all sorts of tea about him, what it was like raising a kid who defies death on a daily basis. As for audience participation, Picha Kucha was a big hit once again, with several patrons trying their hand at this unique presentation style, including Kim Toya Williams, who introduced her alter ego, Kimmy, who loves the holidays. So this is where you have 20 slides. They advance on their own in a period of 6 minutes. You have to tell this story. It's always one of the highlights. Nancy Duarte made a surprise appearance. Nobody knew, much to the delight of the Sunday evening crowd that gathered for the business roundtable. And as John, you'll know, we live streamed all of this to our Zoomies with John Chen at the helm. We jumped through some crazy hoops to do that. Let's see here. This screen gives you a pretty good idea of what's involved in staging a hybrid conference. This was one of 3 cameras set up across the room and 3 microphones. And there's our crew right there. We have there in the back, you can just see his head, Todd Dunn peering through. There's Patrice Perras and the aforementioned Cindy. So it takes 3 folks in each room to prepare a live stream properly. Cindy is acting as the seminar host. It's her job to be the conduit between our virtual audience and our presenter in the room. And so you do this times 3, and you get an idea of what's involved. And these were all mostly conference family members who were taking this on. And our Zoomies really appreciated the effort, showing off. They just showed off the charts levels of energy and enthusiasm. And this included our 2 intrepid sojourners, Jude Barak and Linda Gross, the latter traveling all the way to Israel to visit the former so they could be Zoomies together in Tel Aviv. I think the camel was optional. But it was just a really good, wonderful feel-good event, with quality time with our friends, many of whom have just been coming year after year. Charles Cranford sported 17 stars on his badge, whole bunch of people that, 10, 11, 12 times, and our usual complement of at least half the house being first timers. So, just this really wonderful mix of energy. It was really like family. I've said that many times over, but it was different this year. It was different this year because it wasn't just like family, it was family. My actual family was there also, in addition to Becky, whom you all know and love. My two daughters, Eric and Jamie, came down for the entire conference, and that was just truly wonderful. I'm kind of getting choked up talking about it. Along with Erica's partner Cody, they were part of the team. They were part of the social vibe. Jamie interviewed one of our keynote speakers. Erica played in the trivia contest, and Cody was one of our sound engineers. They fit in so beautifully. They did me so proud. This was perhaps no more evident than at the Tuesday night reception, in which they led a roast of yours truly.
Our dad is really cool. And he's like big man on campus here. And to us, he's just our dorky dad. So if you know my dad, you know he does a lot of weird shit.
That's just a taste. And when I got thrown in the pool Wednesday night at our final reception, they all jumped in with me. So this was just a very special vibe through which it was obvious that I was not ready to retire, not in the least. But there were many questions that I needed to address, because this became our new normal. About 100 to 125 people in person, our roomies, about 175 to 200 Zoomies, and there is no indication at all post-COVID that we're ever going to get back to 200 people in person. I just don't think that's realistic now, and that's okay. That's okay. I loved those numbers. 125 in person, you can pretty much meet everybody. You can have meaningful encounters and conversations with everybody there. And with John spinning the dials on virtual, we had real quality time with our virtual audience. We were able to meld them a lot. So these numbers are great, but none of the traditional hotels that we've used in the past would work with us. Not at 100, 125 people. They're going to say, all right, well, we'll give you that ballroom up on the third floor, and we've got something down here, and we'll reset it for lunch. No, you can't have that outdoor space that you've asked for before. You're only 125 people. I mean, this is my reality. So I really needed to think this through. I needed a new venue. And with this new venue, I wanted to really try to embrace this feeling that we were like a retreat coming together once a year to really celebrate the community. I needed to find a venue that would do all this for me and not ask for my firstborn in return, especially now that my firstborn attends the conference. Okay. And I have found it. And it's almost in my own hood. For the first time ever, we're going to be doing this close to where I live. And what you're looking at here is is California. And let me zoom in for you on what we call the 7 Bay Area counties. Here's Marin County. Here's San Francisco right here. I live right about there somewhere in Pleasanton. Here's all the peninsula. Here's the Monterey Bay. And so we are heading there. largely regarded as the most picturesque coastline in all of California. And we're going to be right on that coastline. Asilomar State Beach, which is the location for the Asilomar Conference Center. And we've even carved out our own little neighborhood right up here where there's Conference Central right in front of this really cool courtyard. Our breakout rooms are right here. It's about a 60-second walk. And these are all accommodations, lodging here too, and down here. And so we will all congregate around here. And what I really like is that each of these wings, the last room in the wing is called a living room. And it's just this open space, which we are going to just take over. And so we have this whole area. It's miles and miles of non-touristy coastline. This is not a private beach, but it's going to really kind of feel like it. And this walkway here leads directly to the resort, which is just about 200 yards away. The accommodations are unlike all of our previous host properties. The adjectives that come to mind are rustic and warm, cozy, quaint. There are no televisions in any of the sleeping rooms, but many of them have fireplaces like you see here. We will all dine together, as we always do, but it's going to feel different. We're going to be in this dining commons, and breakfasts will be much more lavish, and we'll have dinners together here also. And there is just nature everywhere. We're in the middle of a nature preserve. And now I've brought you to the water before several times, but not like this. Asilomar State Beach is a nature preserve, and it's in one of the most picturesque settings along the California coastline that anyone could ever hope to see. And at this point, John, I'd like to ask Becky to chime in, because she and I visited this together, and her memory's way better than mine. And she and I were both kind of struck by how cool it would be to bring everybody together at a place like this. So, and here she is now.
Let me unmute myself.
You're good.
Good morning, everyone. Good evening to the Parkinsons in Finland. We'll show them later. Yeah, so Rick and I visited Asilomar last October, and it was a glorious, sunny, warm, beautiful day, as October days tend to be in Monterey. So that's when we're going to be holding the conference. So fingers crossed that we have as beautiful weather as we did when we visited. I really, Rick showed that picture with one of the sleeping rooms. I think most of the rooms have the fireplaces. It's just, and they provide you with these packs of firewood, and they're really easy to start. It just makes it really cozy. Yes, you don't have a TV, but I think we all have our laptops and can watch Netflix if we need to. We walked, there's a boardwalk that just takes you right from the conference center to the beach. The whole time you've got this beautiful ocean view. You can walk on the beach. It's just gorgeous. And as Rick and I walked around the complex, we just started visualizing how we would make this into a retreat for the presentation summit. So we've got some great ideas, or they're really mostly Rick's ideas. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Becky. I'm looking forward to, once again, the entire family joining me. So we will have the Altman family and the Summit family together once again. And this close to home, it's about an hour and a half to get up to Pleasanton. I'd like to think that we could find some way to maybe do a post-conference pool party or something in Pleasanton for those who hang around. Now,
well, that's the real question, Rick. Right? Will Erica and Jamie be there next year to also throw you back into the pool?
Erica and Jamie and Cody my expectation is that they will be there again. We've already talked about some of the things that we can do. I think I'm going to send Erica and Cody off to Bevmo to buy like $1,000 of beer and wine that we can stock that living room with that I was telling you about. And so we can have receptions each evening. Yes, the family will be there once again, along with the conference family, whoever can make it there. Now, how to get there? That's the next question. Now, you can actually fly directly into Monterey. I didn't know this at first. There are direct flights from Los Angeles, Seattle, Phoenix, Denver, and Dallas. So that pretty much means that you can get to Monterey in one stop from almost anywhere in the world. Here's I just pulled one very simple itinerary, from Newark to Monterey, and you can see, a 45-minute layover in Phoenix. This is just any flight to the West Coast that isn't direct. More likely, though, you're probably going to fly into San Francisco or San Jose, save $100, $125 or so, where from there you could either rent a car because there's free parking on the resort, and driving down to Monterey and then driving around Monterey is just a wonderful experience. Or you could reserve a spot on the Monterey Airbus. I think it's only about $45. They'll take you from either airport directly to Asilomar. What I really hope is that a few of you might choose to fly into San Francisco and rent a car from there and take the 2.5-hour drive along the coast from SFO to Monterey. You might not find a prettier drive anywhere than this. And if you do it, I will want you to stop and take lots of pictures, which we will then show to everybody, because this is just one of the best West Coast drives that you could possibly imagine. So that's the hope there. All right, now we're only halfway done with our story, but I owe you dates, and here they are. So Monterey, California, normal pattern, Sunday through Wednesday is our date pattern, October 15 to 18. And as Becky noted, this is just absolute choice weather along the West Coast. Those of you that live here or visit here, you know what the weather pattern is like. Maybe many of you know that famous quote from Mark Twain: "The coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco." That's what June is often like. But then you get into late August, September, October, the coastline of the West Coast is just phenomenal. The fog pushes back and you just get these gloriously sunny days, and mild temps. Even if we don't get that, even if we get fog, we have mild temperatures. Not too many of you are going to be swimming in that ocean. Northern California oceans, that's not like San Diego. It's wetsuit territory. So this will just be a fantastic place to be in October, no matter what. And that is half of the story. And I owe you the other half of the story. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very proud of what John and I and Troy Collar and his team put together to create the hybrid experience that we had the last 2 years. Utterly exhilarating to feel like you're broadcasting, like you're on a television set, and you have directors who are running the show and everything, and we showed the world. I believe that the presentation summit really showed the world how to create an engaging hybrid experience. Like I said, it's exhilarating. It is also exhausting. It is also exasperating, and it is exorbitant. And I'm done with it. I'm not retiring from the conference, but I am officially announcing my retirement from hybrid conferences. They scale poorly. 100 people is just not the right number to be able to afford a hybrid event. They're just not friendly for small events like that. They require me to be completely dumb with numbers. If I told you what I spent on the aforementioned technology, you'd think I was even crazier about the way I budget this conference. But I can hear Christiane right now from Germany, ready to have a cow, we're not turfing our Zoomies. And that is the rest of the story here, because 3 weeks later, we're going to do it all over again. We're going to hold a separate virtual conference, same content, same presenters, the same rich engagement. In fact, I think more of it. And John and I will speak about that a little bit. So those are the 2 dates together that are going to make up the 2023 conference. Because, you know, even though, like I said, I think we really did it well, hybrid just introduces compromises to both experiences that are unavoidable. You know, we had to tell our presenters exactly where to stand in the room. We put little tape along the floor. We had to tell them what cameras to look into and when. And you know, the virtual experience, John just runs a fantastic party across 3 days. And I was able to pop in occasionally, and I was grateful for doing that. Others popped in also, but that was really pretty much all we got, was a pop in. And I want to do more than that. I don't want to have FOMO at my own conference. So for many reasons, it just makes a lot more sense to separate the 2 events again. And as soon as you do, when we don't have to worry about a simulcast, we can cater to each audience separately when it comes to scheduling. Now, I'm throwing a whole bunch of stuff at you here. This is our proposed schedule. The left side of the screen is how it will work for the roomies. And that's, you know, your standard day that lasts almost 8 hours. But there's just no reason to make Zoomies, you know, wait across 8 hours like we did last year and the year before, 90 minutes for lunch. You know, we don't need those kind of breaks. So properly scaled and scheduled for the Zoomies, you see, it's a less than 6 hour day. Where we'll still have breaks, and, you know, John will still do his thing. In fact, we're going to have a midday lunch. It may only be 15 minutes, but I'm bringing my sandwich on set, and so is John, and we're all going to sit around together like this. And so, all in all, I think that we're going to service our 2 audiences much better when we do it this way, as 2 separate events. The hope is that we will have most of the content will be overlapped, will be repeated, not all of it. I'm sure there are going to be some things that will that sort of have to be just for the roomies, and others that'll be just for the Zoomies. But my hope is that 90% of the content will be the same. As I said, no pre-records. We're not just going to pre-record the sessions in Monterey and play them back. That, I believe, that just never works. My presenting team is going to return for those same 3 or 4 days and hang out with everybody in John's Zoom lounge, as we've done before. Also, I want to say that while the entire world is getting more expensive, there will be no price increases at the Presentation Summit. For the 3rd year in a row, we will keep prices exactly the same. Now, having said that, the hotel will cost more. The roomies will pay more, about $300 a night for the hotel. However, that is going to cover all of your meals, including dinner the night that you check in, breakfast, lunch, and dinner all of the conference days, and then breakfast and lunch on your checkout day, and all of the hosting that we're going to do, the parties, the receptions, the evening events, all of that. It will all be in this one affordable price, and so there you go. There it is, the 2023 outlook. There's a whole bunch more to talk about here, but at this point, I want to just open it up for any discussions. John, let's bring you back. Oh, and at this point, yeah, John, come back, but let's also bring Mike and Jen on the set, who are vacationing in Finland and are going to go to dinner soon. So I'd like to hear from them about what they think about all of this and the kind of time they're having in Finland. Are they still with us? I hope I didn't spend too much time yabbering on.
Sorry, Rick. Mike just let me know they had their dinner reservations, so they just had to bundle up and go into the -6.
Darn.
But you have plenty of other people. We have 75 people hanging out with us today.
All right. Well, so that is what has consumed me over the past 2 months, so I'm very excited about this. I feel like it's 2003 again. I'm not sure I've been this excited about the conference since we started it in year one. So this was exactly the kind of reboot that personally I needed. I mean, I don't know that the conference was broken and needed to be fixed, but it's the kind of reboot and the kind of reimagination that I think every event should undergo, certainly one that's lasted over 2 decades. So I'm super excited about bringing this new kind of energy to the event, and I hope that all of you will be as well.
Just wanted to share that Lori Collar was on Facebook Live watching you, and that Beverly was early on. Just say, give us the dates already, would you?
Oops. So I buried the lead a little too long. Okay, well, they know the dates now. And to make sure that I never actually turn a sufficient profit at this conference, I'm just going to be spending money elsewhere on better things to promote that retreat environment that I've mentioned. So instead of spending 5 figures on live stream technology, instead we're going to hire an artist in residence, somebody who's going to come to Monterey and be in the Zoom, and will be showing us all how to think visually, how to sketch. She'll be creating sketches of us. She'll lead some workshops, some one-on-ones, and she has this wonderful skill of being able to attend a seminar and visually sketch out the topic. It's incredible how she does this. She's going to spend 6 days with us, 3 in the room, 3 in the Zoom. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on broadband internet, I also hope that we will have a camp photographer there. All in all, we're going to start building this out now, and I hope we will have a lot of fantastic announcements for you across the next few months. At this point, John, what's happening in the chat? Are there any questions that I can answer that people have?
Well, let's see. I know Emily's here, and everyone's talking about how Emily should be a tour guide with this. Jen's got her hand up. Mona said, I love every single part of this, Rick. So congratulations. I think you got it right. Yeah, Sheila says, yes, it's definitely a graphic recorder. Let's bring up Jen. Jen, do you mind turning on your camera, or you can at least just unmute? I have Jen Dryden. There we go. Go ahead, Jen. You're on the request line here at KPS. Let's go to Emily too. Jen, unfortunately, we cannot hear you. Emily, do you mind if I bring you up?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me?
There you go. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Emily.
I'm doing great. I'm really excited now.
Yay.
So, Emily, everyone's chatting with you. So you have some experience with this resort or this area?
Yeah, I lived in Monterey for a year, real close to the downtown wharf, and then I lived just right on the other side of the bay in Santa Cruz forever, and worked right there in Watsonville. I've flown in and out of that airport for work, and I know the area really well. Used to do a lot of meetings and conferences all up and down that entire area. San Jose, that side too. So my son was born there. I was married over there.
Have you been to Asilomar?
Yes, I have. It's been a long time since I've been to the conference center, but I mean, gosh, I used to go over to that beach. I used to walk 17-mile drive, from like the aquarium to Lover's Point, all the way around a lot. So I know that area really well.
Okay, terrific. Well, thank you. And Emily, you're one of my litmus tests. How many stars on your badge now? 5, 6, 7? Well, no, I guess 2019 was your first year also. But like Cindy, you have become like a veteran. You're ahead of your time. And so for me to excite you, that's key. You're one of our loyal folks now. And so I think about, okay, well, what will Emily think about this? So it warms my heart.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I mean, definitely want to make sure everyone knows that Northern California is not the same as Southern California, but it's so beautiful. And in October, you have a really good chance of actually having what we considered like our second summer.
Right.
The summer in the Bay Area is actually quite foggy and kind of chilly. And then it's September, October when the sun usually comes out and you get this really nice weather. So It's a great time to be there.
And the distinction you drew between Northern and Southern California, you're talking about the water temperature.
Water
right?
temperature is a big deal. Yeah.
Yes.
A lot of,
we
used to have a lot of family. Yeah. Families would come with their bikinis and bathing suits. We were like, yeah, you're going to need a wetsuit if you want to get into I mean, people get in.
They do. But like last year in San Diego, it was low to mid 70s, and we will easily do that. I mean, we could do low to mid 80s in October. So
90s,
could be,
Excellent. Thank you so much, Emily. We're going to expect bonfires and some amazing other type of things here. I've got a few questions here on the request line. Let's see. How are the topics for the conference picked? And of course, somebody else, let me just check. Oh, Jen, I think may have asked too, how has the speaker agenda been released yet? So we'd love to hear from that.
Yes. Okay. So no to the second question. That we build out across this first quarter of the year. So we will be actively building the schedule and how we pick speakers. We have our core group. And then we are never not looking for capable, qualified presenters who can speak on these topics. And that's not so easy. It's very meta when you host a presentations conference where you are speaking about speaking and you are giving presentations about how to give presentations. And to be blunt, to be thought of as the authority inside a company, to be the PowerPoint dude inside of a company, that's not quite good enough in order to be considered an authority when speaking to presentation professionals. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody off, but I do want to level set the expectation. And that said, I'll invite anybody who wants to speak. And John, let's put another URL into the chat. It's presentationsummit.com/join-the-team. And that has dashes in between it. Join-the-team. And that is how you will get information. You can then pitch seminar ideas to us.
Perfect. I put that link in the chat. I just tested it.
Terrific.
It's good that it works. I got another question from the chat before I'll take a live question. If we bring our spouse, can they partake in all of the meals? Is there an additional fee for that? And is Asilomar just for retreats, or can we actually arrive there early and hang out?
Okay, yes to all of that. It will actually be easier to bring spouses this year because before we had to deal with, how do they sit in meals with us and everything? Because meals are part of your stay, anybody who comes and gets a room gets meals. So the way it works, and I'm going to use round numbers here, a single person to come stay at Asilomar is about $300 a night. For a couple to stay, it's about $400 a night. So the second person is paying about $100 more for their 3 meals a day. Now, of course, you might go out elsewhere to have meals. There's phenomenal restaurants in Monterey, but that's the pricing structure that Asilomar sets. And I have to tell you, I tried negotiating with Asilomar. They don't negotiate at all. This was another reason why this was such a unique experience to me. And I don't know if Sheila McGurran's on the call or not, but she and I normally will go through rounds of negotiations with the hotel. There was none of that. They sent us a contract and said, take it or leave it. And so these are the prices that everybody pays. I'm not getting any better deal than anybody else would get. But so if a couple comes and stays, then they both get all their meals, and we're not gonna really bother. There may be a very small upcharge for one of our receptions. I'm hoping it's going to be small enough that we're just going to say, forget it. We'll see. But generally speaking, it's going to be really easy to bring a spouse. What was the second question, John? around this?
Oh, can we come to Asilomar early or stay late?
Yes, of course. Yes, you absolutely can. I'm not. I don't think that this is a special conference rate. I think that you pay that no matter what. So yeah. So we're not going to. I normally come like the Monday before. I'm not going to do that. Most of the team will be arriving on Saturday, and setup will be much easier than usual. We'll probably set up in about a half a day for this. Before we go on, I want to know if Dwayne Leach is on the call. I think I saw him earlier. Dwayne, are you with us? Because if so, there he is. Dwayne, will you and your daughter come play golf at Pebble Beach or Spanish Bay with me?
That would be awesome, Rick. Unfortunately, this date falls again right in the middle of her season. So I was actually just asking a question of John to ask you whether or not this was going to be like a semi-permanent place for it, because this is her senior year. And I can't miss her season, in that last year. But like we're going to be coming up to California for college visits this summer. And so if we end up Northern California, I'll be ringing you up.
That would be my tremendous pleasure. Whether this is going to be a permanent place, we've never really had permanent places, but let's just see. I've learned not to try to plan too long term with this now. Maybe we'll just hop year to year. Let's see how this first one goes. What I'm hoping is that whether it's at Asilomar or elsewhere, this idea of creating a retreat atmosphere at a place like this is that will catch on. There are several other places like Asilomar that are on my radar. I'm going to visit one in just a couple weeks. So the hope is that that will continue. Now, I have said this before to people. This might be the end of East Coast conferences. As I get older, I really appreciate keeping stuff close to home. So my thought is that if I can find places in California, it's possible this conference will stay a California event. I'm not going to say never or anything like that, but that's kind of my feeling at the moment about this. So Dwayne, we'll hope for you in 2024, and we'll see you on the virtual. And all my best to your daughter. I am still her biggest fan.
We got a question from James Freeman. Thank you so much, Dwayne. We'll see you on the virtual.
Hey, Rick and everybody. Just a brief comment. I've been in the children's mental health service field, and we have an association that we've been hosting a conference at Asilomar for like 20 years in May.
Fantastic.
It's an amazing place. Everybody's going to love it. And it's going to get everything that it sounds like you're wanting with that family feel.
That's just so wonderful to hear. James, let me ask you, because the one thing about Asilomar is that it's not fancy.
Yeah,
the rooms are rustic, and if you go on Yelp and you see the 1-star reviews on Asilomar, it's always because people didn't have expectations set properly about the rooms, the sleeping rooms.
Yeah,
was that an issue at all at first for your group, and did you have to sort of set their expectations?
Yeah, you can't. You're exactly right. Those 1-star reviews are people that are expecting, to order extra towels and room service and have, the high-end hotel furnishings and things. It is a retreat, but it's an amazing thing. And to be in a high-tech presentation content in a place where you have to also unplug is going to open up some headspace and spiritual space and just emotional room for people that's going to be an amazing side effect, I think.
That's the hope. James, thank you so much for chiming in. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So excited for you.
Wonderful.
And looking forward to being there too.
I'm rooting for you. That's terrific. John, let me just make a couple other points here that I jotted down. We will have what I want to call beast mode. Those people that want to attend both the in-person and the virtual. There will be a very small upcharge. I think it'll be about $149, because I suspect there are going to be a lot of people, a lot of roomies who are going to want the virtual experience also, going to want to be able to watch the replays, see the seminars that they missed, hang out in the chats and everything. So we will have what I'm affectionately referring to as beast mode. Let's see what else. And John, I'm looking forward to you and I being able to interact much more during the virtual. I'm going to hang out and I don't know, be your worst nightmare in some of these chat lounges.
We were talking about this, Rick. One of the things that a few people have really came out with this. It was kind of controversial when they said it, and that someone said hybrid sometimes is the worst of both worlds.
I've heard this.
Right. And so now in this case, what Jeff was saying was absolutely right. Take the maximum advantage of that in person. And the Silmar really does have some of this magical environment type of things that you want in person. And now we can also take advantage on the virtual side. So now it'll be even easier to do some things where you can come and chime in. You can have a bigger presence on virtual. And we can actually do a lot of other things. I suspect if you go to both, you're going to see something different. I know a lot of these other presenters, like myself too, have been really working on, how do we do things different here in virtual? Like,
right.
Doing like this here in person is not as easy, but here on virtual is one button push away. And I really look forward to seeing that, especially for each of you as professionals. You're probably starting to diverge a little bit. Like you can really specialize in in-person presentations and specialize in virtual presentations. So exactly. I look forward to seeing that. And hopefully you'll come join me. Thank you, Rick, for inviting me back as your virtual MC, as we really look forward to push both of these formats. And just so you know, too, I'm most likely 99% going to be at the in-person, and I'm going to borrow some elements from a Silmar and bring them here to virtual so that you won't have FOMO. Maybe you'll get reverse FOMO if you choose to only go to one of them. Back to you, Rick.
Yes, exactly. Now, while I reject the assertion that hybrid is the worst of both worlds, I understand where that comes from, and an event that is not run properly, that could be the case. But as I mentioned earlier, even in the best of circumstances, you are introducing compromises to both experiences, and I'm just not willing to do that any longer. I am looking forward to. I think that John and I are going to be using Zoom events for this, a new platform that Zoom has rolled out. We've used a platform called SwapCard before. Many of you know this, and are the presenters that are here on the call with us. We've used StreamYard through Vimeo, which creates a broadcast experience, which kind of insulates you a little bit, isolates you from your audience. That doesn't happen here in Zoom. Now, my objection to Zoom has always been because the inmates kind of run the asylum, but not with John Chen. John eats Zoom for lunch. so he knows exactly how to spin all these dials. And we both took a tour of Zoom Events, this new platform, and I think it might be exactly the right way to go about this next year. So I'm looking forward to, one way or the other, using lots of new tech for the Zoomies in early November.
I got a few more questions.
What else?
If you take them.
Yes.
What direction or prioritization areas do you think you're going to focus on for speakers and content this year?
I'm sorry, what areas of what was that word you used?
Prioritization. In other words, what are you going to gear this year's education towards?
The conference has famously resisted themes. And I want to, I don't want to be coy, but I want to at least continue that I want to proudly say that at this point, I have no idea. Themes always come out around the wonderful ideas that come to me from our presenting team and from others and from just living life, really. Now, having said that, I mentioned earlier that half of our patronage each year are first timers. So there are some core principles that we always have to cover. There's some design principles that will that are just, hard and fast, tried and true. You can bet the bank Julie Turberg is going to come do an hour on makeovers. Nolan Hames is going to be talking about chart design. Mike Parkinson will bring back his super simple slide designs. There's the stock and trade of presentation best practices that do not change. I'm going to do an hour called Farewell to Death by PowerPoint. So, around this core, then we build the specialization, the prioritization, I think is the word that was used. I like that. But it's too early for us to know what that is. To have a theme now is, I think that would do a disservice. I mean, first of all, there's all sorts of stuff going on with PowerPoint itself. We barely spoke about Cameo. Is that what it was called? I think it's called Cameo.
Cameo.
That was introduced like a week before the conference or so this last time. And there will likely be things like that as well. So there's all sorts of geeky stuff. But my hope is that, again, we will play to this notion of a retreat. We'll definitely be having birds of a feather discussion groups and office hours where we can have drop-in time with our presenters, and we'll do this in all around the resort. When Becky and I were walking the resort, we saw a place and we said, "Oh, look at those park benches there. That'll be perfect for a little discussion group." And then you walk a little further along the path, and there's some picnic tables on the beach and things like that. So we'll definitely be playing to that. I want to leverage our artist in residence, who again will be there across both of our events.
I've got Julie Turberg with us. I don't know if we want Julie.
Oh, wonderful! Bring Julie on. Yes, hi, Julie.
Muted. Oh, there we go. Okay, so hi, Rick. Hi, John.
Happy New Year.
This is so exciting. I am so geeked about this.
Oh.
But you mentioned makeovers, which I've done for I don't know how many years. I don't know, 15, who knows. But I want to pose to all the folks out there, if you have an idea for something that you would like to see covered in the design space, presentation design space, hit me up. Let me know. I want to make this more geared towards what you want to learn rather than something that, because I can speak to different topics, but what is it that you want me to share this year? That's all.
That's wonderful. Julie has always embodied the inclusive spirit that the conference wants to bring to the design experience, and that's why it's more than 15 years. Julie, you've been doing it for this will be
19. This will be my 20th, but makeovers. I think we started a few years into the game.
Could be okay. As long as you're not telling me you're announcing your retirement from makeovers, that can't happen.
Oh, come on. All right. So everybody out there in Zoom land, start getting your bad decks together for fodder for us to use.
Oh, I got one of those, Julie. I'm going to give that to you. Everyone, take that a moment, right? Go to the chat and say, what do you want? Rick, you can really help the influence of the design at this point. Chat, what are the things, features, whatever it is you're looking for? Thanks again, Julie. Because I'm looking at Cameo right now. Like next year, like using Cameo and seeing the best uses for it, I think is another place that really could happen here. I got one other question. Laura Overcash asked, will there be any special add-on sessions for Sunday?
Thanks. So I think at the moment, I am inclined to not have the Sunday crash courses. I don't know if they've run their course. Maybe they have, but we're going to not do them, and we're going to see if people miss them. We will incorporate a lot of that information into the main conference. One of the Sunday sessions has been my 2 hours on Farewell to Death by PowerPoint, and instead I'm just going to bring the first half of that into the main conference. We won't charge extra for it. So Sunday will begin with our welcome reception, and then with dinner. Because again, everybody who's there on site has bought dinner. We're all going to have dinner together on Sunday. Maybe we'll bring a guest speaker in, and we'll have a Sunday evening keynote. That remains to be seen. But I'm thinking that we will not have our Sunday crash courses this year. And if you think that's a terrible idea, let me know in chat.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Rick. And we're starting to get all these topics, makeovers, maybe
Wonderful, terrific.
accessibility. So there's a lot of other topics here. Make sure and review the chat after today's meeting, Rick. And Rick's mind too. If you just don't know Rick, his mind is going to go from now until this conference thinking about how to present the most amount of value to you so that you come back and be part of this amazing family. You'll get all teared up. Like, that's why I don't think you can't leave, right? This presentation summit for 21 years has been part of your family. And maybe that getting thrown in the pool and having that little bit of roast that you had in San Diego made
that became crystal clear to me in San Diego. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So I just needed to figure out a way to make it work. And I think this is it. I think that that you know, if only 60, 65 people show up in Asilomar, I won't lose my firstborn. I won't have to say goodbye to Erica. and it doesn't matter how many people show up in the chat. I mean, I'm sorry, in the virtual. We know how to do that with any number. So yeah, in a way, I've kind of future-proofed this a little bit, and so yeah, I'm as excited as Julie is, and I'm really excited that she's excited. I got to tell you. Hey, is Nolan Haynes with us?
Let's check with Nolan. By the way, those who are asking to save the chat, it is on right now, so you can save the chat. Also, we're going to send a link where you can get it. But to save the chat, go to the 3 dots more and then click Save Chat. If you have no idea where Zoom saved it, say Show in Folder. It will open up a folder, and you will have all these amazing links from Asilomar and all the comments from everyone else. Hey, Nolan, how you doing?
Hey, John.
Oh, good, he's here.
I'm here. I wanted to echo. Well, first of all, I'm very excited about this. It feels like Camp David for us presenters. That's so I'm all for that. And I want to echo what Julie said about if you have ideas and things. But what I was talking to Rick about when this was all sort of being formed and he was telling me about it is that I think this opens up some new opportunities for some different types of sessions, more intimate sessions, more roundtable type sessions, more interaction. And I don't know exactly what that looks like, but that's what I'm excited about rather than the more lecture-like, sort of I mean, everybody's there to learn. We're there to teach, but I'm looking forward to maybe some slightly different types of different formats. And I don't know exactly what that is, but it's a very intimate setting. And I think the sessions should be informed by that somehow.
And you brought up a very interesting point when we spoke a few weeks ago about this, Nolan, that, well, now that it's not hybrid, are we just going to be talking to each other? And it made me think, that we've sort of become accustomed now to this notion of the wider audience. For the first, 16 years of the conference, more, all we had was the people in the room. And it, didn't really matter how many people were at the conference. There was generally going to be between 40 and 70 people in the room with you. And then we got used to a hybrid audience. And now I wonder if it might be a little bit of a culture shock when it's now just us in the room, especially if we try to make those rooms feel more intimate. So I suppose that there's a great opportunity here, as you pointed out, but also we do need to make sure that it's not just us talking to each other in the room.
Right, but also I want to be careful of not just talking at people, which I don't like to think that I do anyway, but still, like my favorite session, continues to be the business roundtable.
Yeah.
Where it's really a conversation, and yet everybody's really learning something. So I don't know how that can be ported over to other smaller sessions, other topics and things, but that's what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, well, I'm right there with you. The resort is perfectly suited for that, and I'm going to lean on you for some good ideas. So I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire there.
All right. Well,
about one minute to go, Rick. Thanks again, Nolan. I just wanted to remind people too, there'll most likely be a 5 minutes, which is, you can apply to that too. If you are a new speaker, easiest
5
way to
minutes
get
or
in
fewer.
is apply with a 5 minute or fewer topic, and you too can get on the main stage here. With that, I know that you have one other piece, and also got to find out, we're going to put a challenge. You've been putting this guitar in your freaking back of your window. Now, you actually play that thing, or is this just some kind of prop?
So I will say that the guitar spends more time there than it does here, but it is a real guitar, and I do play guitar badly, but it is not just a prop.
But Rick loves his music, and so not on this session, but I think in a future Schmooze, we might actually going to attempt to get you to play a song.
I will need a lot of time to prepare. And I would be willing to bring my guitar to Monterey if other people want to bring an instrument there, because again, I can't think of a better environment to have a jam session, a conference jam session, than there.
Everybody chat Rick.
Also.
Everybody chat Rick if you want to hear Rick play this guitar live somewhere on either a Schmooze or an event.
The next
Schmooze. Not now.
The next Schmooze. I'll find some real simple Beatles song that I can play. Yes.
And I think we got a gift for people, right, Rick?
Yes. One last announcement for those of you that have joined us here. I want to thank you, and I want to show my appreciation with a discount to the conference that will live for 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, you can take $100 off the cost of the conference if you register and you use the code of, and you ready to put this in the chat, John?
Ready.
Schmooze 100. And of course, you have to spell schmooze properly. It is SCHM, 2 O's, ZE. Schmooze 100. When you register, put that in the client code field, and that will knock $100 off the price of either the in-person or the virtual. That will only live for 2 weeks. But I wanted to thank everybody for taking the time to spend here with us, with John and with me. John, I want to thank you also for contributing to the great energy that this conference has always had. You make it even more so. And that's it from Pleasanton, California, where I feel like it is the first year all over again of the Presentation Summit.
Excellent. Thank you. You've been here in the presentation, or the Schmooze, right? The Schmooze Fest here. Everyone wave goodbye to our live stream audience. Thank you so much. If you want to chat with Rick, feel free to hang out. Otherwise,